That means I'm live. So here I am. This is world building hangout number 3. Currently I am alone. Hopefully there'll be 2 or 3 other gentlemen joining me in hangout later on. But the world construction must go on. So without further ado, I'll be continuing work on Wolfea. It's one of 3 major settings that I'm working on, and it's the one that I really started to flesh out a lot during this the process of these world building hangouts to catch up on Wolfea. It's turning out to be a world, a D&D world that is Mad Max meets Cthulhu. It's the best way I can describe it right now. The prehistory of the current setting is that at one point Wolfea was in a state of near utopic. It was almost a paradise in life, where it was ruled by 7 major governing bodies, the entire face of the planet. Each of these 7 major governing bodies were ruled by a republic of very powerful mages, right now known only as the Mage Lords. Through their magic and their divining capabilities, they predicted Wolfea's destruction, and they were ready for Wolfea's destruction when Wolfea's sun blew up. Now, they protected Wolfea. Wolfea was not vaporized, much like every other planet and their moons in the setting. However, an unseen side effect was that the destruction was so vast that it shattered the structure of magic itself. And that creates the face of Wolfea now. A few thousand years after that initial event, magic is flowing throughout Wolfea without any real rhyme or reason. And people are just trying to survive. Some are actually trying to get back the glory days, bring the gods back so that the gods can bring the sun back. Because currently Wolfea is a world in eternal twilight. The skies lit by the residual magics in the area. It's neither day or night. It's in between dusk and dawn at all times in Wolfea. And that's the general gist of the world right now. Let's see if I screen share. This is the sort of concept map I have for Wolfea currently. And that's a bit of noise in the background, but don't worry. It's a work in progress map. This is the area of Wolfea we've been working on currently. We have the Cradle of Laughter, Highgrave, and Haven, all located within the Sea of Salted Tears. The Sea of Salted Tears is a desert. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a desert, encircled by these mountains right now. Highgrave is created by these 2 god coffins, where the face of Wolfea currently, the gods are essentially all dead, or as far as the majority of the populace see, there are no gods left. There's only the residuals of their divine power. Now in Highgrave, there are these two gigantic statues that at one point were floating in the sky and fell. The way these two statues landed, they landed leaning against each other. Right? They landed like this. Is my pen working? Yes, it is. That's how the statues landed, in an almost X fashion. So this is Highgrave. There's one city on top of the statues and one beneath it. Now these statues are the coffins of these ancient gods that went into the coffins or sarcophagi to slumber for an eternity, and to the point where they can be resurrected and, fix Wolfea. But they were knocked from the sky. They came careening down to the earth and landed in such a fashion. The faces of these gods are constantly crying, and their tears create a sort of salt marsh at the base of Highgrave. So in between these two statues is an elevated community within this salt marsh. This salt marsh is also filled with, a bunch of antlion-like creatures, and it's pretty much holy water. All that information is kind of in the previous hangouts that we went over. So yeah, that's a summary of Highgrave. Haven is Haven is a nasty place. Basically, Haven. What is the god's name? And Haven, leader of Highgrave, Saragoth. There we go. This is part of my creative process. Like a lot of just vomiting ideas, basically, and when being helped by the other members that joined for the last two hangouts, their ideas, my ideas, things just happening in creative chaos, which I very much enjoy, and then to be sorted out, corrected, and tidied up later. Saragoth is a god it's another god that's not actually dead. This was the image I drew for Haven. This giant worm creature that is in this little torus, the body of Saragoth goes underground. The idea is that Saragoth was the eater of light, similar to Apophis, right? So this giant worm god would consume the light so that the world wouldn't burn in the heat of the sun. So it was Saragoth's duty to create nighttime, according to some of the current beliefs. Anyway, in the current face of Wolfea, Saragoth is a slumbering god, and people have hollowed out Saragoth, destroying internal organs and whatnot, to live within the shelter of Saragoth. The only thing really remaining is Saragoth's heart. And let me just close this. The leaders of Haven live in a building just beneath Saragoth's. Also within Saragoth, there is the light of the dead sun. The ancient and dead sun exists within Saragoth and is harvested and rationed away so that they can grow food underground. If you notice around Haven, though this is a desert, right? This whole area is a huge desert. This is where the desert kind of goes to the plains and savanna, which goes to more forested areas. In Haven, there is a thick forest around Haven. simply for the fact that Saragoth's power is bleeding out to the surrounding areas, and he's essentially a slumbering, like he's kind of like Cthulhu, the slumbering god that the god's dreams infect those in the world around him. So this area of forest is essentially a physical manifestation of Saragoth's dream. And also in this area of the forest, these trees bear fruit that this fruit is pretty much a drug. It's a psychotropic agent that, depending on who's consuming it and how close they are to whatever god or whatever remnant power of a god is, they kind of gain visions or a doorway between that god's conscious or residual consciousness is opened to enter their own subconscious and alter their states of mind accordingly. And all the way down here is the Cradle of Laughter. The Cradle of Laughter is a skull of an ancient demon god, which is the god of the gnolls. And where we kind of left off in the last world building hangout is, getting some information on these gnolls. And one of the summaries is that the gnolls are sand-bending gnolls that are the Mongols of the desert. Was a quick summary of what they are or were. The Cradle of Laughter is the area of the skull of the laughing god. And some of the mystery we came up with was basically these separate tribes of nomadic. The gnolls are nomadic within the Sea of Salted Tears. These separate tribes do battle, like ritualistic battle, where the losers get eaten by the winners until there is only one winner. And the blood and the viscera that flow down the skull of this ancient god eventually give birth to another generation of Gnoll. So that's the rough stuff. Again, I didn't get too far into Wolthea. I've been saving Wolthea for the world building hangouts, and Wolthea is the third of three major settings that I'm currently working on. One of which is the setting for Saturday morning tabletop, and this is only the eastern hemisphere of the world. It's quite a bit of work. I mean, that's the eastern hemisphere, and if you zoom in, I've got quite a few things going on. But let's go back to Wolthea. So yeah, I was researching, some languages, trying to get some words, because it's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different setting. It's not your standard Forgotten Realms or anything. So, of course, I want different gods in the game. Though gnolls will be there, I don't really want them to necessarily be born specifically of Yenogu. Even if they are, Yenogu is essentially dead, because most of the gods are. But I wanted something a little bit different, something that would inform them and make them very unique and to the setting, rather than something that's shoehorned into sand bending Mongols, which sounds kind of cool by itself, but a little bit more fleshed out than that. And Caius, if you're still there, brother, let me know what you're thinking, because especially after seeing your video earlier today, I would like your information. What your point of view. Like, I like to build worlds that are informed by real world sort of events, historic societies, and how they would be altered within the setting. Mongols believe in uh, the great blue sky, and the land beneath. Though these will be slightly different since they have a god, and their god is dead. They know their god is dead, but they still have rituals that involve their god. So they're in a transitional state between a monotheistic belief system and what their current belief system is in the spirits and power of the lands and the air around them. There was three major tribes. Oh, also I was thinking about the name of this parish god. I got Saragoth, uh, which eventually that was a name my brother came up with, which I really liked. So some of the god names I don't know yet. The Knoll race, instead of just calling them Knolls, again something a little bit more precious because uh, in fifth edition I don't believe Knolls are available as a player race. I didn't remember seeing them in Volos, but race names: the Sovor, Shutlan, Legu. These are what are these? Mongolian, uh, Turkish, and Chinese. I believe I got these from. Or some sort of something around that, right? But let me open up a new thingy. Move this so I can put these questions on there. In on page 285 in the GM's handbook, creating races. There's some cool questions like why does my campaign need the race to be playable, right? How does the race look? Or what does the race look like? I can't type. What does the race look like, and how would I describe the next one? How I would describe the race's culture. Let's uh let's go there since this is a very lonely hangout, and I thought I was going to help someone flesh out their black tongues that they have. That sounds weird. I was going to help someone flesh out their black tongue. Ah, hee hee hee. Ho ho ho. Harumph. So I didn't know I was going to be doing this all by my lonesome. It's so yes, I was kind of sort of not too prepared to build Wolfea. But how I would describe the culture currently, they're nomadic, desert nomads. What the desert nomads? That Well, they kind of worship strength, right? worship strength and power. Power and respect always. Or yeah, right. Like really quick description of them. They look like gnomes. Oh, they look like gnomes. Hmm. Another sort of name of the god. Well, I'm going all over the place. If I'm left to my own devices, I do tend to go all over the place when concepting things. One of the things that I was looking at were names for the god, and there is a Native American sort of demon called Nihasa that I was looking into, thinking maybe Nihasa was or could have been something cool. Um, Something really cool to get into because Yinogu is a demon, and Nihasa, according to what I've read so far, seems to have a very demonic essence. And currently, the sand bending gnolls um, is based around like they're all based around a very matriarchal system rather than a patriarchal system. And Nihasa, is a female figure, feminine. She could be, depending on what I discover about Nihasa, she could be the mother of the trolls initially, and maybe that's why their generations are reborn in blood. Um, could also be why known females, are a bit more rare than males, and why they have so much power within their different nomadic communities. Going along. Do I have any more? Yes, coffee. So the cradle of laughter could be the cradle of laughter. Let's. Oh, I've got this map is pretty large. Let's turn that off real quick. Now, I know everybody likes gnolls, but gnolls aren't necessarily a player race currently. I know hyenas are. They are a race in the sort of desert and plains like areas, savannas and whatnot. Which, if I just turn this back on, basically, this whole area, I want to be like savanna, moving into this desert. So this would be the stomping grounds, as it were, for these nomadic peoples, right? A huge chunk of landscape to cover. And when covering this landscape, the thought of maybe someone like Temujin or Genghis Khan arising to unite these peoples would be very, very dangerous. Because just think of the stomping grounds that this would have. This would be a desert empire that could easily spread outwards to being a coastal empire with some sailing. The kind of crazy stories that might be told if that ever were to happen as they skirt the coastline to whatever this area is going to be. I don't yet know, or even towards the other coast. Just around playing stuff. The mountains, of course, being a natural barrier. Who knows? Who knows what's what? All right, going back to the questions. race gnolls look like? You know what I'm thinking? Uh, gnolls look like humanoid hyenas, right? What if, what if in this world, instead of being born from hyenas, or instead of being anthropomorphic hyenas, gnolls were a little bit more mystical, a little bit more magical, and based off of the why does the name escape me right now? Uh they kind of cloven hoofed hyenas, mouths that go from literally cheek to cheek. There's two of them. Good God, there's two creatures that are the basis of this, and I can't seem to remember. They all right. Let's see if I do something. If anyone of you watching could let me know or leave it in the comments or the chat. They kind of look like. This is a really, instead of feet, they have the cloven hooves. Did I? Is that not an eraser? Why is the okay? Hold on, eraser. The eraser doesn't seem to be working. Because the eraser's on 10%. Why is the eraser on 10%? I don't. I don't know. Oh my gosh! And it's a soft edge. That's all right. I was trying to paint earlier. Whatever. And the tail and whatnot. You got the little hyena spots and this big freaking mouth. And they can talk. They're an animal that can talk. I'm gonna have to open up something else because my brain doesn't seem to be working. Theory. Let's wait. Hold on. I know I have them done up. Evil handbooks. I think they're in here. Would they be in here? I don't know. I hate when I have a thought and that thought is burning away at the back of my mind and I just can't. I can't. Uh, see, do I have listed here? I have a list of some creatures I created for SMTT. No, not the Laufus. Killer Whale, Anaconda, Titanoboa. Come on, man. I know the name. It's in my brain, but I can't get it out. There we go. The Lucrota. What's up, Jeff? Jeffrey Hines. I've been killing myself trying to get the word Lucrota out of my brain. The Lucrota and the Crocata. What if instead of, Mongolian sand bending gnolls, that race, instead of being an anthropomorphic gnoll, was an anthropomorphic Lucrota, right? So let's just pop something new. Doing quick. You know what I'm saying? Because the gnolls, kind of, how does a gnoll look, right? They've got like this face and this, and they got the fur or whatever, and they're like, we're mad. And we have ears. They got that long sort of neck with the spots. Right? Oh, you're stuck at work. Well, I thought we were gonna work on your world this hangout, right? Was it your world we're gonna work out? No, not a centaur, not a four-legged one. I like the idea that they are like a horse tribe, but not with horses. That that thing we talked about with the I'm on my brain is just the antlines, right? Where they ride these sort of antline creatures, and they have these very rickety sort of enchanted boats that sail through the sand. Yeah, it is kind of hard to do things through chat, but it's better than nothing, right? Uh, so like imagine you have this humanoid. Let's go in a profile real quick. Right. So instead of like that, you know, like give them. Ah, this is really quick, and for some reason I'm messing up. Like very much like they would be, you know, sort of long, large, muscular necks. But instead of that crazy more like this, they got a crazy more like this. Like that sucker goes all the way back, you know? So we can give them almost a serpent like setup. Like they don't necessarily have a distended jaw, but they look like they could. Because we can get a unique feel. Because the race has to be created anyway. Because there's no real player race in the book that I've seen, so I can't really just say, hey, if you want to play this, it's in this book. It's actually got to be created for the setting, right? So something like that. Maybe, maybe. Um, I believe they have rows, right? So like they're, you know, say if they have like dentition sort of like this, and this is their lip area, having another row of teeth in their mouth. Like if they have two rows of teeth, right? Yes, no, maybe. Just to make them a little freaky, a little unique, a little weird and awesome. I'm not trying to work too hard on a stupid sketch. I'm just being silly. But like that. Rigid bone plates, mimicry. Yeah, and their feet are cloven hooves. That could be like that sort of like where their feet go. I'm just the cloven hoof, man. Maybe make them a little weird, like if this is the base of their leg, if that's the kneecap, and this is all the fur on their hoof. Like maybe they're a little bit weird and have like a claw here that we can have a reason for. You know, or is that too much? That might be a little bit too much. A digigrade? What? But like a Lucrota basis, man. Like I kind of like that idea. Instead of Knowles, right? Which thing was I will say world building? Okay. Uh, so save that. Weird chimeras, a blending between what? A blending between the hyena even more, the hyena and the Lucrota, because the Lucrota is kind of a weird blending of creatures already. Or see, okay, because if we go back to what we sort of concepted the last hangout, there were these three major nomadic tribes: the Inij, the Monk, the Elsni, the Shifting Sands, Eternal Sky, Laughing Wind, right? Um, yeah, hyena, badger deer. So the idea, what if this version of a knoll was running away from the cops, and that's why you can hear the sirens in the background, or his version of the knoll was a core race, and their belief system has led them to be these three sub races of each other, right? Because they're born in such a weird way with the that fight upon their dead god's skull. Oh, what we got here? Instead of ant lions, that gotta close that. Oh, okay. Okay, Jeff. That is Jeffrey says instead of ant lions, they ride things like Lucrota, but substitute with camels. So yeah, that's been in jail. I don't even know where to put that in this thing. This is the really rough sort of idea space. So heading. Instead of writing all that stuff, they write actual Lucrota. That is really interesting. Maybe that's part of why their culture is very sort of militaristic. That idea of them that idea of them wanting to be the strongest. This is such a silly drawing. you know, like why they deal battle on the Cradle of Laughter, why they try to have the strongest warriors, the most females, that they can within their tribes, right? Like the Lucrota is the Lucrota, the Crocata can be the lowest form of them. The Lucrota being a sort of secondary, like a secondary citizen type race. Like they're sentient and sapient enough to know that they're being enslaved. But the Knoll versions, the humanoid versions, are still much stronger than they are and keep them as a subservient race. Right? Like the evolution of these Knolls. Be interesting. Or maybe that's just one, like one of the three tribes. Let's see. The three shifting sands, the eternal sky, the laughing wind. The laughing wind was the ones that we discussed. Like they have a larger community that's on this rickety sailboat that is carried magically through the sands, right? And maybe the ones that are the eternal sky ride the antlions. The eldest, biggest version of the antlions having wings, so they actually fly. And the shifting sands are the ones that ride these Lucrota type creatures. Right. Maybe. Let's see. Jeffrey Hines, right. And of course, there are less of the Lucrota because the idea of a whole tribe of no cavalry is terrifying. That's the point. That's the point. This world, the world of Wolfea, is just all sorts of messed up. All right. Again, this is shaping up to be sort of Cthulhu mashed with Mad Max. Right? So if you think of these desert wastelands, and you know how in Mad Max it's all about like the cars and the different types of vehicles and what they do to these vehicles to weaponize them and make them stronger or tougher and all this like chase scenes and stuff, right? That shifting sands could be like the Bedouins. I like that idea. So let's put a little note. Right? So they're Mad Maxian thing. Or hell, what if we can give them that manifest destiny? Like these Knolls have a sense of manifest destiny, yet they can't unite. Like each of the major tribes has their own version of a manifest destiny, and there has yet to be any sort of Temujin character to rise up and unite the separate tribes. Which is why places like Highgrave and Haven haven't been completely and totally decimated by these things. So let me jump back over to the questions posed in the DMG, right? One of them was how would I describe the race's culture, right? Right now we have sand-bending desert nomads, right? So I like the idea of sand bending, like magic based off the sands, sort of, right? But sand bending nomads with a sense of manifest destiny, right? Humanoid Lucrota. So, I ain't a badger deers, right? But why does the campaign need the race to be playable? Is a great question. Yeah, the raids could come over under the cover of a sandstorm. You know, the well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with the different tribes, the Laughing Wind, the Shifting Sands, and the Eternal Sky. Maybe they behave in a slightly different way, right? Where the Laughing Wind could start causing like madness or stunning people, so their raids are preceded, right, by like that sort of, but in the winds, like, like you can hear this ethereal laughter carried upon the wind, so you know that they're coming, right? And the Laughing Wind can be, focused on more of lightning fast those lightning fast raids, right? And they're sort of forced to be uh those kind of lightning fast raids because there is a noise that precedes them that doesn't actually help so much with the raid, right? And the eternal sky could be the ones that have the sandstorms, right? um I don't know, just putting things out there. And the shifting stands can have like dunes rise up in front of them as they're riding, or who knows, man. Like if the shifting sands are the ones that ride Lucrota, and Lucrota have that sense of verbal mimicry, they could use that to be more or less, instead of raiders per se, like we just roll up, we roll up and like, hey, give me what you got, kind of raiders. They are a little bit more tactical. Laughing Wind and Eternal Sky, maybe a little bit more surgical. Do we have a worm sign? A worm sign in Fremen riding Thopters and say, oh gosh, oh man, maybe I don't know. See, no, no, not the Fremen. Okay, there's only one really big sandworm, and it's not really a sandworm. It's a worm in the sand, and that's Saragoth. Remember the ancient god's body that has been hollowed out to create the city of Haven within the desert. That was this guy, right? No, I closed it anyway. Whatever. Where is he? This guy right here? Now, worm sign. What do you mean about worm sign? Like, what is? Do we have a worm sign? It's like, hey, welcome to Haven. You'll go crazy and turn into fungus, and then we'll harvest you. Is that what the sign says? I don't know. I'm at a loss. Uh, I'm at a loss right now. Oh, the worm sign. I understood the Fremen as being a Dune reference, but yeah, I am liking that. Okay, why would why would these gnomes be a playable race? All right, this world isn't a black and white world where it's easy to define. Like in Mad Max, it's not really easy to define who the good guys are. Like the good guys do bad things, right? So why would this be a playable sort of race? I don't know. I don't know. But with that, I'm gonna do a little bit of intermission. I'll be back in like a minute. I gotta step away from the computer for a second. I have returned. I have returned. All right, so let's see. They are a playable race since the world is a desert, and the desert belongs to the gnolls. Um, yeah, like they would be the ones that get around the most, So yeah, probably humans and other races are primarily kept to small bastions of civilization. So far, yeah, they are. Like the only humans. Let me leave these headphones off. By the way, for anyone that might be watching this in the future, I was reading the comments by Jeffrey Hines. Um, so they are the last bastions. Haven. I mean, right now, all we know is that Haven and Highgrave are the only place with humans right now. I don't know if there's any other small little places around here, maybe cities in the Savannah area. I haven't really focused on putting any rivers. Um, Now, what I would think for map creation is that the eastern side of this mountain range, these mountain ranges, would probably be uh, a little steeper, a little more lowland, well, or whatever. And for some reason, most of the water travels eastward from these mountain ranges, right? And it's just this area, possibly maybe even more like a salt flat, right? Because it is called the Sea of Salted Tears. So maybe the water is mostly underground water and has to be purified. The only real exception being Highgrave, since the water is actually blessed, being that it's the tears of these ancient gods. So what would be on the coast? And of course, there would be quite a few sort of little communities on the coast. What do you say, Jeffrey? Okay, what keeps the rain from blowing in off the sea to the west? Trade winds blow east to west. I haven't thought that far. I mean, though this world is literally infected and warped by magic, right? It could be one of those things where, because the reason is because magic, right? Um, I mean, there are areas in the world that have the sky lit on fire, and it's just always lit on fire, and that makes absolutely no sense until you say "cause magic." Uh, so yeah, like maybe it's these gods, right? It could be caused by these gods, because what we were talking about before was that in Highgrave, the sarcophagi, the deified sarcophagi, these statues that hold the bodies of these gods within, that are forever crying. In that area, in that immediate area, magic cast from any source that is not a divine source is consumed. So any nature magic, any arcane magic, any magic granted by some sort of demon figure or what have you, is consumed. And it's consumed by the corpses of these gods that are in the sarcophagi. And it is changed into divine magic by them. Uh, So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's these two gods that have literally absorbed anything that could be in this area. You know, the history could be quite possibly that the Knoll god, right, this creature that is actually dead, and Saragoth over here, possibly during the destruction of, or slightly after the destruction of Wolthea, or the destruction of Wolthea's son, they could have had a battle between each other, right? Maybe Saragoth was searching to consume the other gods to gain power, right? Taking advantage of this travesty, uh, this world-ending event, and battled with the god of the Knolls. And while Saragoth could have won the battle, killing the god of the Knolls, the god of the Knolls could have left Saragoth so mortally wounded that he fell to the face of Wolthea, not far from where their battle happened, which crashed into these floating sarcophagi with these other gods that have chosen to slumber through the aeons. And all of that battling, all that was going on, could have created this area. Maybe this area is a lowlands area, and all these mountains that have risen up here could have risen up instead of from tectonic movement from the body of these creatures just careening down to the planet. All right, different kinds. The island chain there looks like a good place for a trade city, where there's this island here that is fairly close to these two major continents, right? There's a few islands on the hitch. The coastlines and all that, they aren't. Nothing here is yet to be set in stone. This is all part of the conceptual stages. So I can just drop another island chain there, change the face of everything. I just wanted a world map, because I find that creating world maps with generalized areas helps to inspire the creativity of creating the worlds around there. Like in this world map, all I created was this little island, this little mountain range. It's not a very little mountain range, but create the idea of this mountain range with a desert, savanna, maybe forest coming in around here somewhere, without placing any rivers or lakes or anything. Because when you do place river and lakes, communities would naturally appear around those sources of water, especially in a desolate place like Wolfea, right? So what island chain? Let's see. Over here somewhere? Go areas of note. I don't know. I didn't label this like a genius. That was how I made. Oh, I don't have the brush set, but right there, maybe. Let's go to a little red. Let's put this as the temp, right? Just west of the coast that I'm looking at. Yeah, that would be all right. Great way of figuring this out. This is 1, and this is 2. And this little thing will. Why is that 3? I don't know, but we can start populating this area as what would be the next step? 1, 2, 3, And because I just thought of it, this sort of rickety ass coastline would be 4. So area number 1, perfecto. Habit makes me save a lot, and saving a file this large is gets to be a bit crazy. Right. So we're looking at this area over here. Would be a good place for a city of some sort. I need a color that pops, right? Good contrast. So around here somewhere. Frequent saves are very good. Yes, they are. But I don't know if let's go to the image size in inches. Yeah, inches. It's about 48 inches by 48 inches and 300 pixels per inch. I don't know if you know about resolutions or whatever. It's a ridiculous resolution right now that I'm working with, simply because like I could go anywhere within this map and zoom in, this close, right? When it comes to detailing, like cut in that little bit of detail. So that's why it's a bit large, right? That would be a great place for a city, right? You're right. This time I messed up and I don't have something I probably should have open, which is a fun piece of inspiration, which is the first Be a Better campaign master. Where is it? I've got gigabytes of things. A lot of them, some of the crap I created. The app tab folder, campaign master, printer friendly. All right. So, the printer friendly one doesn't have bookmarks. I forgot about that. Why does it not have printer friendly bookmarks, people? You need to give me bookmarks. Don't you know I'm obsessed with bookmarks? So is everybody else that does anything. Oceans, lakes, rivers, jungles, forests. Should we roll on the forest chart? Is there a table for forest up in this piece? D100 geographical features. Yeah, it's all about practice. It's all about practice. If you go, I don't know if you're part of the Map Makers Consortium. If you are, the pinned post, I've got a lot of resources on the pinned post. One of them, you can click on if you find it. There's a lot of resources, or you can just go to DeviantArt, or just Google Aragon's cartography brush pack. It gets a ton of use because it's a very good brush pack. Right now for the concepting, that's what I was using, Aragon's brush pack. All these little sand dunes, sand mountains, and all this. I mean, except for the Cradle of Laughter, I had to make that myself. But everything else is part of Aragon's brush pack. The continents I made myself. But they're pretty easy. Yeah, but well, you can get GIMP if you don't want to spring for Photoshop, because it for a whole self-contained Photoshop it's expensive, or you have to go the not so expensive route, which is the monthly fee for Photoshop. But if you're just playing around, you can get GIMP to start with. Paint Tool Sci is also free right now. I wanted to get into Paint Tool Sci, but I've been playing around in Photoshop for so many years that I'm a creature of habit right now, and those habits are hard to break. But in Photoshop, if you were to have Photoshop, me personally, I could definitely give you some advice as to how to use Photoshop, particularly. Some of that advice is transferable to GIMP. I'm not a fan of GIMP because I'm spoiled by Photoshop. So I am the creature of habit, so I don't know too much about GIMP or Paint Tool Sci as of yet. But all you need is a program that, like, see if I go over here, delete all this crap that I was doing. With a brush, right? Just any normal brush, right? You can just create a weird, wonky, wacky shape with the lasso tool, right? Just whatever ends up happening, fill that in, right? And that's a ridiculous looking thing. You select a little square around it, go to edit, define brush preset. You can name it whatever you want. Bring it up in your brush menu. I can stamp that, which it looks horrible, right? But we go to, oh wow, I can't. I don't. Oh, here it is. This menu here, right? If you're in Photoshop. Oh, you do, dude. You've got it. You've got it down. You need to teach me then, because okay, I don't have fractal terrains, right? I don't have fractal terrains. I'm dropping crafting supplies everywhere, but I've got this little. Oh, I need to turn my camera back on, don't I? If I stop, right? Camera. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I've got all these things here. Plus, I've downloaded some of the what is it called? You know, when you sign up and you can download like the additional features that they come out with, like bi-monthly or quarterly or whatever it is. I've got a couple of those not installed because I had to reinstall everything. But yeah, this stuff, the annual. Oh, I've actually got it. The annual, right? I've got Cosmographer, City Designer, Dungeon Designer, Campaign Cartographer, and I don't use them. I don't use them. Again, I'm a spoiled creature of habit. I started using them. I started learning about them, and I learned that you could create your own sort of assets. And I went back into Photoshop to start drawing little buildings and this and that and blah blah blah. And I never went back. I got stuck. Creature of habit, right? Really not within my own best interest to be doing that. It is well, fractal terrains, yes, because I know they have a great a generator for worlds. I don't know how they can be modified. I mean, I would only think of using fractal terrains to generate a basic world and then altering the face of the world afterwards in something like Photoshop for my own means. Yeah, I was see, you got me on I'm easy to go on a rant. But back here in this thing, I would go size jitter, angle jitter, right? And then you could start getting a little bit of randomness, possibly a bit of scattering involved. Not that much scatter. Count jitter. So it's all just random stuff, right? Just delete everything and just pop down some crap in places. I mean, that's one way to get maps, right? Let me lasso tool this. You can, but what I'm saying is that, like, you can't necessarily easily alter it. right? Like if I go back to this map, let's say this map is a bit of fractal terrain. I don't have fractal terrains. That's one of the things I actually don't have. But like, you see, I have this map set up. Like I can just go into the map and, as a for instance, I like this island thing here, right? I can just come in, maybe tear it off, right? This is done via mask, so I have to do some adjusting, but let me get rid of that brush I just created. I could make that into an island, like a totally separate island, and maybe even take some of this stuff and, like, this is some shattered bits of terrain here, and like I could do things like that. If I wanted a river to be here, I could just add a river, right? If I wanted this to just be a delta, like instead of that being an island, and I wanted to change it into a delta, I could just like plop down a bunch of stuff here, right? And then start carving away at it in just random ways, for a bit, and create a delta. And just plop a delta down right where I wanted it to be. Which is the only thing I'm not sure whether or not you can do in fractal terrains, and how easy or difficult it would be. It would be, and if I exported fractal terrains, does it export in layers that can be manipulated, or do you have to just start messing around with the clone tool? That's the one thing I don't know about fractal terrains, and one of the reasons why I never got fractal terrains, because I never made use of the purchase that I made, the other Pro Fantasy purchases that I made. But if you really know how to do it, like, I'll hook a brother up, like, slap me silly, and hopefully I'll get out of my habits of Photoshop and work some of those fractal terrains and dungeon designer and campaign cartographer, because they really are really good resources. And with the ability to import assets, I forgot how to, because it was such a long time ago, but I know they have the ability there. So with the ability to import assets, like I could sit around and spend, like, days and days and days just drawing. Wow, that is super zoomed in, but like, drawing little things and trying to get all isometric, and then, what I'm saying, like, hey, there's a thing there, but you know what? I want it to be part of another sort of whatever. And then you do the little triangle thingies. And, oh, look, it's part of these. So it has another roof here. I'm being silly right now with it. But yeah, what I'm saying? Like, I can sit down and draw all my own little assets, import them to Campaign Cartographer, and quite possibly, because they're I forget what they're called, symbols. They have symbols that have a little bit of randomity that you can program into them. It really, really help to expedite the process of making all these maps and whatnot. So I know it's a very powerful, very, very awesome tool. Now I'm switching from coffee to water, so I might get weird. Oh my gosh. But yeah, let's go down to here, because I went off on another little rant. I don't have anyone to guide me in my rants. I load it up. I did load it up. So yeah. Boom, bum, bum, bum. You want to try the forest a bit? Lake features. Oh, I want the forest features. Let's make us some random. Oh, that's why it's the wrong one. The one without bookmarks. How you guys gonna do that to us? This one is beautiful with bookmarks. I know, printer friendly. You would print it out, so you don't kind of need bookmarks. The great thing is that this book I can actually I mean the Stone Rift book too. I can read it. Like I had a problem with a lot of the stuff coming out where there's some I've got issues, right? I've got physical issues. So when reading some of the books I would get migraines. This not being one of them. So I don't have to I can see it in all its glory. Forest features. Let's roll what a d6. Get some forest features, or nah, let's not run forest, right? Swamps, polar siddles, and settlements. Oh my gosh, there's a loud ringing.
Hello.
Okay, forest features be cool. So we can rock some forest features.
Everything's good.
All right. So yeah, so if you hear somebody else talking in the background, completely ignore them. They're not world building.
Okay.
So I'm gonna roll the d6 to see how many times I roll for forest features. Right? What I get? I got a 2. A 2 is boring. Let's roll 2d6. This way we average 7. Yeah. Okay, 4. 4 different features in total. So 4 D100 rolls. I'm not gonna roll a D100. I'm just gonna go to Dice Stream and roll percentile 4 times, right? So a 30, 53, and an 87. So the lowest is a 30, right? So between 29 and 30, trees of this forest are the tallest in the realm. And a diverse treetop city sits atop it. There's a lot of tops in this sentence, isn't there? I'm weird when it comes to like patterns and repeating things. The trees of the forest are top or tallest, and the treetop cities are top. I'm weird when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, I just am. But click on temp. So let's extend the forest to this sort of area over here, right? So tallest trees. In this realm. I mean, if it's tallest trees, this should be a lot bigger, right? It's gigantic. Tallest trees in the realm, and that doesn't even look like an and. An ampersand. We're doing D&D stuff, so we always have to have the ampersand. Oh, I got somebody coming. I need to put my headphones on again. Then, I'm sorry, Bill. You join in. I have no idea if you were talking or I was all alone for so long. I took my headphones off. So there go the headphones. They're back on. Feel free to chat and interject and harass me. If you were talking, I'm so freaking sorry that I didn't hear you. And by the way, you have an awesome picture for your thing right there with, this Darth Vader and his threshing metal guitar. Tallest trees in the realm and city atop it. Right. The next roll was a 53. So going back to Campaign Master, checking out what could possibly be a 53. 53 to 54. This forest hosts several species of large, ancient birds, carnivorous and deadly. So too large, ancient, carnivorous, deadly. We gotta put deadly. Boys. It's just interesting. Maybe that's what prevents the you know what? If you ever see this, Barker, I could have liked you before because you're a cool dude, but let's ignore the fact that you're a pretty cool dude and just say, for this alone, I love you. Because deadly, ancient, giant, carnivorous birds are a perfect reason to keep the the nomadic Knoll Raiders trapped in this forest because every time they go out, I mean, trapped in the desert because every time they go out to the savannah and try to go to the damn forest, there's these giant, ancient carnivorous birds just eating them to bits. That's pretty cool. Oh, the treetop city in this area could be Aarakocra, right? Like Aarakocra and okay, we'll get to that later. I'm getting a little bit excited. A little bit too excited. Let me go back to chat. See what I've been missing so far. First, cool. Truth be told, most RPG writers really need a thesaurus. Oh yeah, with words. I'm constantly going to. I am bad with it. Like my brain picks up on patterns so much that it drives me a little crazy. It's probably not nearly as bad for anyone else in the world but me. But like, I don't know if you cop Stone Rift. You should check it out. It's pretty cool, right? Stone Rift has art. I mean, really, really good art, and they used it in a few different areas in the book. And to me, it's like it hits me like a hammer. Like I see a picture that's somewhere else, I'm like, wait a minute, you know. Which I understand from a business standpoint and putting together a book, it's best to use your resources wisely. And when I put together like my book, I kind of wanted to be wise about it, but my obsession with not having patterns show up whenever I noticed I was reusing art, I kind of said I threw it away and just used it once instead. Just may or may not be the smartest thing, but yeah. When I see things like that in my brain, it's like, hey, the top of this is a top, screams out in my own head. I'm getting a little bit ranty again. So let's stop ranting and go back to the next random rolled feature, which is a value of 87. And going on this wonderful little thing, a value of 87, 85 to 86, 87 to 88. All that remains of this forest are dead stumps. What are you doing to me, Parker? What are you doing? Okay, so this forest at one point held the tallest trees with a city atop it, but all that remains of this forest are tree stumps. I'm writing it down, by the way. This forest are stumps. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. The poor forest. I thought it was gonna be, but I mean, even still, like, could you imagine giant bird? All right. So maybe they're grounded, like giant emus, giant evil emus. I'm being silly right now, but it's part of the creative process. I don't care. All right, moving on to the next and last feature rolled, which is a value of 76. What does the, I don't know, more noises. What value of 76? 75 to 76. This is a large crescent-shaped forest whose trees are carnivorous and plentiful. Okay, conifers. Conifers grow usually in colder areas, right? the stumps of the no. Okay, all right, wait. So crescent-shaped, plentiful. I'm just giggling. Right now. Plentiful carnivorous trees and crescent-shaped forest. I don't even know how I'm writing anymore. Forest. So they're the tallest trees and cities in the realm. The city wards are built on from Jeffrey Hines. The city's wards are built on top of the stumps and connected by bridges. Oh, okay. So, mind you, there's also the idea of these birds, right? Um, so you're gonna have a crescent shape. Let's another temp. So let's so. I'm saying so a lot right now. I need a thesaurus. So perhaps in thought, retrospectively, we'll use those words instead of so all the time. All right. This giant forest, or this forest of giants, is crescent shaped. Maybe it bleeds into here, comes around here a bit. All right, that's the crescent shaped forest area. And these trees, should the trees just be gigantic stumps that actually reach higher than the rest of the trees in the area? Or should they be gigantic in the sense of their girth, right? Like again, going to this separate file. Right. Instead of like if this is a house, the trees are like, whoa, we're gigantic. All right. And then the tree stumps stop somewhere here where the normal trees are like that big. All right. According to how you were saying in chat, that seems to be the way you were mentioning, Jeffrey. But, however, in retrospect, what if this is the size of a regular tree, right? Then like these gigantic trees are not bigger. They're stumps, but the stumps are like that with rings around them, and they're shorter than the regular trees. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like again, if in this history, Saragoth and because I don't have a name, a finalized name, but like Saragoth and Nihasa were battling, and in that battle, all right, up towards the heavens of what was left of Walthea after this tragedy, this world-ending event that they somehow survived, right? That these gods afterwards were battling, right? And they knocked over these sarcophagi, and the corpse of Nihasa was thrown towards the earth, leaving Saragoth in such a horrifying state, wounded, and they both tumbled to the face of Wolthea, and they quite possibly shore off, like you said, shore off the trees, shattering them in their fall, right? Then also bringing down these two god coffins or sarcophagi to the earth, and which is now what is known as Highgrave and Haven and whatever this is, right? And like they're this, these little trees or whatever. They're these giant tree stumps, like gigantic tree stumps, and like the villages are like, let's put triangles right now. Like they have some things are here, and like you said, they've got like these long bridges, or maybe they're Aarakocra and they don't need the bridges. They fly from tree stump to tree stump, and like maybe they are Aarakocra, and this version of Aarakocra are like vultures, right? And they're large, carnivorous birds, right? Oh my goodness! I love how the ideas are coming, right? But I'm alone again. I'm alone. I was gonna ask Bill something, like if he wanted to partake and stuff. But yeah, large carnivorous birds, Aarakocra, but vulture type Aarakocra. I don't even know where this is the names of anything, but let's go to Wolfea. Boom, boom, boom. Add a little break over here. So this ancient forest of gigantic. This now only has shattered stumps. Stumps. There is a large unity that arose on the tops of those stumps, right? Is of carnivorous cobra. So I don't even know if I'm spelling it right now, but that's not a part of the thing. Cobra resembling vultures. This probably should be a bullet point too. Resembling vultures. Ancient. Maybe they are like the Archaeopteryx. Let's see. Resembling vultures. Dude, gosh, can't spell. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's go to our friend Google. Right. So the Archaeopteryx, like this, right? So they have the Aarakocra resemble the Archaeopteryx. My words don't work today. Having Aarakocra that, you know what? That would be pretty crazy awesome. Instead of vultures, Archaeopteryx. Right? Because the idea with this setting is for it to be used not as a total conversion, maybe a major conversion for D&D, but that I can use some of the pre-existing rules, right? Who knows? Maybe I'll rewrite the rules again and maybe have a total conversion of the 5e OGL. But yeah, man, there's some pretty awesome colors in the Archaeopteryx. I like the fact that they have the hooked teeth in their beaks. Dude, you are amazing. Awesome freaking suggestion. Awesome suggestion. Let's close that. Let's even just delete that one. We don't even need that one anymore. Archaeopteryx like Aarakocra. Right? All right, brother. I put my headphones back on, and the one person who was kind enough to join me is no longer here. I probably messed up. I'm sorry. Right. So oh my gosh. Humans are so screwed in this setting. Like lead to their wings in the back. Right. They kind of have like down on their neck areas, the Archaeopteryx. So that'd be interesting. Should they have like this stuff too? Maybe, just maybe to there's some uniqueness or some interesting facial features. Their plumage, being tails. Would they have those long feathered tails like the Archaeopteryx? Somewhat lizard-like, but like feathers all over the side that just pop out like crazy. Oh, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. I don't know what it's going to be called, but it's somewhere in here. Somewhere in that forest. I don't think they'd be nomadic, but flying to the east, possibly to warring against the nomadic tribes of those the Knoll type things. You want the wings of the back, arms, rudimentary hands on the wings. You see, currently the Aarakocra are six-limbed creatures, right? They've got the wings on their back and fully functional arms. So the idea is, same thing, maybe giving them a tail like the Archaeopteryx, for just cool factor, right? It serves no real purpose. But if you think about it, creatures that small and heavy would at least need something as a rudder, so the tail would function for that purpose anyway. But for ease of play, I guess they would be six-limbed like the Aarakocra are currently. Unless they were like how Chris from Drop Dice did them. His Garuda are designed to be flightless birds, right? They're a race of flightless birds. So these guys, if they were flightless, having the wings on their arms makes more sense. I mean, there's a lot of cuz magic, because magic going on, especially in a world like this that is, like, it only exists still. It hasn't been turned into cosmic dust because magic, right? So I don't know how they look right now. I don't like how the Knolls slowly evolve from one hangout to the next. Like Knolls, anthropomorphic hyena people, to now anthropomorphic Lucrota people, which there's still a sort of tie-in to hyenas because Lucrota are kind of hyena-like. But essentially, the race itself would be made really different, which is cool. I like it. I'm just saying that how things develop from a conceptual stage throughout the process, it will change. What if they glide like flying lizards or flying squirrels? Giving them the ability to glide Like they could fly, but never upwards, right? But here's the thing: do they flying lizards or flying squirrels? So are they more like the fifth edition Aarakocra or previous editions of Aarakocra? Because the older Aarakocra, let me see if I can pull up some pictures. The older Aarakocra were they held weapons in their feet because they, their arms were their wings, right? Find a picture of the old ones. This is kind of a picture of an older one. If I could share that, right? Like, his arms are wings, uh, arms are wings. Well, but you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a cool one, man. No, plumage, feathers, no real wings, but 4 arms. I mean, that's an idea, right? Am I getting out of control here? Just tell me if I'm getting out of control. Well, the newer Aarakocra that are just like, I mean, we've all seen them from the book, right? This sucker right here. I've got wings, but I also have arms that are perfectly capable of doing anything you can. I'm a spider monster. Yeah, we should just populate the world with as many weird races as possible. Humans are like in the minority. That's a new Aarakocra. I'm not. You guys are kind of right. I mean, let's look through some of these images, right? There's some cool. Oh, here's an old school one. Oh, right here. Dragonborn. Let's just scroll through some of these. This one, I do like this one. Like this is the old school one where they couldn't fly and fight unless they held stuff in their feet, right? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm good? I'm good with what? With this one? You're going to confuse me, my friend. I am easily confused. All right, so let's. Oh, I just want another layer. So got a quick base like if this is the base, right, of the Aarakocra. Is it a base like this, where you have like those bird-like feathers here, and then the feathers start going like that? So, ultimately, it's kind of like a wing set. It's kind of like a pair of actual wings. And they have the claws here. Or that's their waist. Velociraptor claws. So going back to this one. So instead of like, if this is their arms, their forearm, instead of having a hand that has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then thumb, right? We cut off a thumb and continue it this way for the idea of feathers, right? And this is where the hand starts going, like a claw like that, and then wing. I mean, for a non-playable race, hell yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Maybe making the player race, see if people can work with it, I guess, on their toes. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with their arms and wings. But like, yeah, toes. Like, if this is the calf, this would be okay. Let's get it to a place where we can finish drawing it. Right. This is the calf area, and this is like the kneecap or whatever. And the rest of their foot went down like this. Then the inside one would be the giant claw, giant velociraptor claw, or would it be like a total extra bit right here, and then you have the normal sort of feet claws? I'm making sense in my own head, but I think I'm going a little bit too junky for making sense to anyone else. If I'm not making sense, just let me know. All right, but that's their generalized. See, here's the thing. Because they are flyers or gliders, or maybe not, like, to figure out their culture, the ability to fly would alter their culture. Their ability to move through the sky or not, or just be able to glide, would affect their culture. It would affect how, if they had the velociraptor claw on their feet and maybe this weird thing over here for hands, instead of hands, right? It would prevent them from using weapons in their hands, but it would also be a great sort of way to climb trees, using this long extended claw to climb up these giant trees to get to where their communities are and to get to a place where they can glide downward, right? So that would change the face of how they work as a species. Jeffrey, rudimentary hands like chimps, not a full opposable thumb. And climb like nobody's business. I know, but like the difference in a human's hand, right? I mean, we already know what a human's hand is, but so like if this is their basic digits, right? I'm gonna be a little bit more just simplistic. Right? If this is their hands, this is the see that's not far enough, right? This would be far enough. And they have the rest of their fingers out like this. That's like a chimp's. Oh, word. Monster offer. What is up, brother? What is up, brother? I like that. I like a cast basis. Okay, let me go back over to the notes. World of Wolfea. A caste-based society. Again, based for now, just concept, based on how they evolved and their flying capability. So they have flightless gliders, right, and full flyers. Right, full flyers. Let's just save that and go back over. Okay, so you were saying rudimentary hands like a like a chimp, right? Which is kind of like the. I'm just doing it in silhouette, so it's easier to play around with. Right. Enjoying some monster talk. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get races in Wolfea, right? Because what happened, like this is really relaxed sort of organic world creation. And I have this world, this setting called Wolfea that we've sort of been working on as a community, which is basically here's a world and here's the only bit of it we've started to do, right? Within the world, there's the idea of nomadic tribes out in this desert based off of a knoll, which has slowly begun to evolve into maybe as a core race or one of the sub races of these knolls. Instead of being simply anthropomorphic hyenas, it's an anthropomorphic Lucrota, right? And Jeffrey sort of walked me over to this coastline, and simply by accident, we decided to roll some random stuff for a forest. And now this forest is populated by some weird Aarakocra type creatures that are based off of, because of Jeffrey's suggestion, a Archaeopteryx. So yeah, like I don't know where this is going. I have no idea. I'm just going with the flow, the stream of thought that we're having right now. The last thing that Jeff mentioned was to have sort of rudiment, hands like a chimp, right? Hands like a chimp, chimp, chimp. Do it like gimp, gimp, gimp. But we really Photoshop. Okay, I'm just going all over the place right now. But going back to the task at hand, so hands like a chimp, right? So if we go along with hands like a chimp, how will these hands? Why did that happen? I don't know why that happened. I'm bugging out. How will these hands work when I mean, they could be longer. These are for like flyers or gliders or whatever. Like how would they work for that purpose? And I'm making tons and tons of layers, but it's all for the benefit of testing stuff. These belonged to who? Flyers, gliders, or flightless? Because if we use that weird hand shape, right? You could use that weird hand shape. Let's see if I actually draw a hand, right? If this is where the thumb is, the hand goes up, and then knuckles for the rest of the hand are up here. Like we don't even have to go 5-fingered, right? What if we chill with 3, 1, 2, 3 large knuckles, and the fourth being this. Oh, I'm drawing it on this layer. Oopsie daisy. Let's delete that from that layer, and then shimmy, 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 cocoa bar, baby. Let's try a different layer. So, like, if they had chimp-like hands, right? Maybe they should flare out a bit more towards the end, right? Creating something like this, knuckles that separate that. Am I thinking too much about it now? Probably, but whatever, right? So then you can get like that little, like the dinosaurs have and birds have on their claws. You get this little ridge line, which looks pretty cool. But anyway, and then that, let's say that this is elongated, right? Like these are fairly, normal, and they got like their little claws in their hands and their little knuckles right there. Right? These are normalish kind of hands, considering. Author! So good. Just finally downloaded the Painter app on my phone yesterday. Sketching. Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, when it comes to sketching anywhere, I'm still old school. I bring a pen and a thing places. Something I'm working on for like let me go over to the thing here. See, oh, that's not the thing I wanted to go over to. I've got so many tabs open all over the place. If I stop, I'm still old school. This is how I sketch on the road. This being something I'm working on for Saturday morning tabletop. It's called Golem Armor. Basically mechas, not gigantic mechas, but mechas in the setting. I'm still working on developing the rules for it, but some of the concepting I just do wherever I go, old school style. But yeah, that must be great to be able to. I'm getting distracted again. I know I am. Let me just go back over to what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I'm always switching between digital and I'm easily distracted. My brain works like in the stream of consciousness, just all over. But it's possibly why I can work on so many projects at once. But yeah, I've been digital for a while, but there is always the beauty of doing things traditionally. Like I'm really old school in that way. I love the look a lot too, but I haven't used a scanner. I haven't had a scanner in so long that most of my projects are digital, but some of the concepting does still take place traditionally. But yeah, I was on the idea of this hand, right? The idea of this hand is, what if this, again, going back to the sort of goofy silhouette, right? It flares out. We have 1, 2, 3 fingers, and then this thumb. Ooh, this thumb, right? What if this thumb were actually really long and deadly, like that raptor sort of thing? So they kind of had a look like that, right? So if I go back to what I was drawing, right, like you got the large knuckle here and then a large knuckle there before the claw, right? And then they have this just really nasty claw here before this hand goes up. Maybe I should just extend all the fingers. But what do you guys think of that for this Archaeopterychian Aarakocra thingy race? I don't know. Right, but if that, I mean, no, I didn't want to press that shortcut key. If this is the case, right? If this is the case, then should I just get rid of all this real quick? Copy this bad boy over. If this bad boy is the case, right, then for the gliders, the ones that have the wings on their arms, right, we could kind of go a bit bat-like, just a bit, right, and then have, I erased too much, didn't I? Just wanted to erase these two. You have this finger, and then the way like chicken bones or whatever wings go. So you've got this one bone or a series of bones over here that go to a little bit of a point, right? And then, this is where a lot of the other type of wings come in. That's a poor representation. I just did, but you know, like this finger is as if it's just left there as an accident. It works. Real ancient birds that are carnivorous. Yeah, we did roll ancient birds that are carnivorous. Carnivorous. I'm saying carnivorous because I'm being silly because we rolled up carnivorous trees, but carnivorous, right? So just to get my brain around it, like if this is sort of shoulder area, right? And we were drawing the biceps. We had this here. Let me get this out of the way. And this there. And we had like that. This is still in the way. You know what? Screw this. This is all part of whatever. All right, we have this sort of really vicious claw, right? And the rest of the hand kind of extended out that way. And then we have this claw, but then the gliders, their fingers would fuse to create this thing. And this is like the wing muscles or whatever they call deltoids or what have you. In birds, right? They've got like this little pattern of feathers. They kind of go this way first, right? And then they extend along with this and kind of come into that. So, be like this for a while, like a fan. Feathers being over there. I'm not going to draw each and every single little one. And that was like the gliders, right? So you got this really one vicious claw, this sort of vestigial claw over here, over in this area, right? And this would be the one they use to fly up to the trees, right? Like that could be the gliders. And the full flyers would be more like the Aarakocra. The six-limbed ones, where they have. I need another layer. They've got like their face, their head area, the neck, and their bodies. So silhouetted a bit. So they've got, the hands, right? Again, similar to the other ones, the really weird hands, right? The chest comes in here. They don't have wings there. They have like, what are those muscle things on the neck? The actual names of things just not working, right? But like this neck thing goes sort of up, and then they have a sixth limb that is like the gliders, but maybe a little bit larger, right? Like that forearm bit goes up to like there. And then their entire back is those other, these smaller feathers that go here. And instead of having that claw on their wings, it's more like the normal wings, right? They stretch out all the way the freak over there. So this to this, and then from that to that, right? So let's just say this is if we start off here, it was stretched out muscle, and this muscle here, and then we've got that one here that becomes this thing that just, like chicken bone. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave. It's already 4:00. Like this was only supposed to go to 4:00, but damn it, Jeff, you had me going. right? Then, or should it be? Yeah, start off then big. I mean, it's still concept, but I kind of like that if this is the Flyers. I've got to save this file now. But yeah, uh, working on the world of Wolthea, it'll stay kind of in this state for now. Um, Keeping the concepting light, because like I said, I'm working on 3 major settings, which is the Gemini, which is the world of Saturday Morning Tabletop, Kirillith, which is the dark fantasy setting, that's kind of gothic Victorian in the area in the pre-industrial revolution, right? Like that state. But there's magic involved. And then Wolthea, which is the setting where Mad Max headbutts Cthulhu and gives birth to an illegitimate child, which is Wolthea. Right? Yeah. So for now, for anyone who watches in the future, and especially for you gentlemen that have been part of this right now, thank you for watching. Arthur, my man, if you want to do something, or if you think I should do something where I just come in and do live hangouts and take suggestions to draw monsters, or maybe the races of Wolthea as a separate thing to discuss their possible ecology, their look, and their anatomy. If you want to jump in, want to do something together, I'll let you know, whatever. Anyway, I'm about to go off on another rant. I'm not going to do that because the sirens are blaring. There's probably some cops coming after me saying, oh no, creating life in your bedrooms is, you can't do it. It's against the policy of the law. Whatever. Another rant. I'm going crazy again. So, anyway, if you don't know me, my name is Nelson. Stumbled around this channel, Infinite Roleplay. Go to Absolute Tabletop one-shot, Tabletop RPG, one-shot group, my author's page, the World of Monsters, for just all sorts of insanities and stuff. I'll leave for now before I start ranting again. Probably proceed with a bit of Wolthea development. I've got my boy from the Fallen Trodden channel, Chepe the Pepe. He's building another world. Little shing around going on every day. I'm gonna chat with him, maybe build a little bit of that world too. And Jeff, hit me up if you want to have a chat about the world you're building. We'll make progress in there too. So I'm ranting again. I'm gonna shut up. I love you all. Bye bye.